So I thought I'd start off today with a story. We're at Xwaaqw'um. Everybody knows what Xwaaqw'um translates to, right? No? Oh my. Hey, merganser. Which one of the mergansers? Oh, yeah, female merganser duck. Hunched-Over Mountain. This was a active harvesting area that was heavily populated with mergansers, which we refer to as Xwaaq. And Xwaaq were one of our main food sources. Xwaaqw'um also highlights that we didn't eat specifically the females. We always would try to eat males because we wanted them to reproduce. This is also an active clam harvesting area and an active camas harvesting area. Yet, does anybody know the name of the mountain that's just right here? Hwum'e'tsem. Does everybody know what Hwum'e'tsem translates to? Hunched-Over Mountain, yeah. And so do you know why? I can. But if you knew why, that's okay too. So these are names, but I want you to recognize one or two aspects. None of these are names of one individual human being. Okay? Westernization is the utilization, Vancouver, Vancouver Island, named after old white individuals who were here for a year and left. And so it's always interesting to me that the alteration in world views, right? When we look at the names that we use, that we as the Cowichan use on land, there's only three reasons we ever hand land a name. It's what we were harvesting there, like Xwaaqw'um, what happened on that land, like I'll be walking over with Hwum'e'tsem, or what the land looks like. There's an area just on Panatlakat Island named Hwum'e'tsem, which means the lookout, and there's a really easy area there where you are able to look out of over the whole ocean there. So it's only ever what happened on the land or what the land is. It's not about who was there, it's about what is there. So the story of Hwum'e'tsem. Long ago, thousands of years ago, there was a monster. And when you're young, they always, oh, there's this monster, right? Roar. He was massive. It was like if a large octopus was as large as a whale, right? And it lived at a spot that we used to call Xwaaqw'um, also known as Octopus Point, which is just off of Maple Bay now. And this monster would eat anyone who tried to traverse through the Narrows, the now known as the Sansum Narrows. It used to be called Xwaaq. Now this waterway was utilized all the time. Xwaaqw'um was an active village that was kind of a subsidiary village of Xwaaqw'um, and Xwaaqw'um is in the estuary at Cowichan Bay. So there would be a constant travel through the Narrows because it was a lot easier to travel through the ocean than it was over land. And so when that monster Xwaaqw'um arrived, there was no more travel there. Anyone who would travel there would wind up eaten. In the legend, it had this long tongue, and it was attached onto a large rock on Octopus Point, and it could unfurl its long tongue all the way across the Narrows. And if there was anything in the Narrows, it could wrap it up and eat it. And for hundreds of years, a lot of individuals would you know, try to go all the way around the edge, and you know, like the hopes that, you know, they wouldn't get eaten. But no, they were all eaten. Everybody died. Xwaaqw'um would eat everyone. Now, as you probably would imagine, everybody was upset, right? There was a chief. Some argue he was actually a chief at Xwaaqw'um, who was angry that, you know, this like monster was there, and they'd like tried using, you know, their, you know, like warriors, and they'd use their, you know, like healers, they'd used everything, but there was no way to remove Xwaaqw'um. So this like chief had heard of a massive like giant who lived on like the mainland at a spot now known as Point Roberts. And so this like chief with his like warriors, they hopped in a canoe and they went over there, and they went up, you know, to this like village there, and there was this massive like warrior, and the like chief walked up to him, and I'm trying hard to remember his name. He has this name, and his name is the name of that village, Xwaaqw'um. That was his name, Xwaaqw'um, the giant. And there's a traditional like village there also named Xwaaqw'um. And just like as an example of how, you know, there was no line, you know, there was no, you know, like that's the US and this is here. No, Xwaaqw'um was one of our like villages as well. So this chief, he went all the way over to see Xwaaqw'um, and he says, "Oh, Xwaaqw'um, we need your help. We need your help, Xwaaqw'um." This massive, you know, like giant says, "What do you need?" He says, "Oh, there's this big like monster with this really long tongue that, you know, is over there having eating, you know, like all of our travelers." And he says, "Well, what do you want me to do?" He says, "Oh, you know, if you know, like if only you could use these really large rocks and, you know, like throw them at this monster." Xwaaqw'um says, "Oh, okay, I'll try." And he has this massive sling, and he, you know, like wraps up a rock that's, you know, easily as, you know, like large as a man, and furls the rock and throws it in the air, and it goes up all the way over all these islands and lands in Ladysmith, whoosh, on the edge of the ocean there. And he says, "Oh, gee, look, you missed. Oh, it's okay. I have, you know, like another rock." Gets another big rock, puts it in his sling, and he throws the rock, and it comes and it lands right in Maple Bay. It's now known as Paddy's milestone. It's this huge like rock in, you know, like the bay. And he says, "Look, what happened again? Gee, Masha, look, you happened to miss again." He says, "There's a really big mountain in the way." The chief says, "What do you mean there's a mountain in the way?" "There's a mountain in the way. You have to, you know, like move the mountain." And he looks at Xwaaqw'um, "Move a mountain." "You have to move the mountain." So the like chief says, "Okay," hops in his canoe with all of his, you know, like warriors, and they head all the way over to Xwaaqw'um again, and they're asking each other, what are they going to do? So, you know, like he doesn't know. He walks up to this used to be a massive high, you know, like a mountain, walks all the way up to the very top of the mountain, and he asks, "Please, mountain, I need your help. I need you to hunch down so that you know, we can have a rock over to go smash Xwaaqw'um over here." But you know, like it's a mountain, right? Like it actually doesn't move at all. So he's up there and he sings a song as he goes to sleep. And he sings, he lies down and he sleeps. And as he sleeps, he has all of these dreams of all of those warriors and women warriors that were all eaten by Xwaaqw'um. And like a man arrives in his, like dream, and they're on the very top of the mountain in his like dream, and they're like watching all of these, like individuals be eaten. He looks over at that man and says, "Gee, I wish there was a way to solve this." The man says, "Yeah, look at all the ones we've lost. Look how many, generations there were that went through here that were lost. Gee, real sad." He says, "I just wish there was a way." And he wakes up and the earth is like vibrating and shaking around, and he has no idea what's going on. So he runs all the way down the mountain down here, and they watch as the whole of the mountain just hunches over this way. He thinks, that was that man in my dream. He hops in his canoe and he heads all the way over there again to Xwaaqw'um and says, "Xwaaqw'um, look, there's no more mountain in the way." And he looks, "Oh, how'd you move the mountain?" "That's not important, Xwaaqw'um. We got to throw rocks now." Gets another big rock, puts it in his big sling, throws it, and it comes down and squishes Xwaaqw'um all the way flat. No more Xwaaqw'um. Now, years later, obviously, thousands of years afterwards, we remember that story when we remember the name of the mountain, Hwum'e'tsem. Now, elders would highlight the mountain's not necessarily named Hwum'e'tsem. When we look at it, we remember Hwum'e'tsem. We remember that we're linked to Xwaaqw'um. We remember that all of these nations are linked. It's not a name, it's a memory on the land. And so it's a way of looking at like life